Hey folks, it's Rob and welcome back. Previously, we had finished the elf character's spell book, basically, and discussed alignment, and that functionally finishes the character generation stage. So I thought we'll go over some of the character classes I have skipped over because we've done the elf and the magic user, at least to some degree, and we still have the cleric, the thief, technically the fighter, dwarf, and halfling still to cover. And then there'll be some more bits in the book to cover, and then basically that's going to be the whole thing. So, a few more parts probably still. I'm hoping to have all this done before I need to get a tooth removed. Um, so, we'll see. So let's start here. Cleric. Now, Elmore, I believe, the artist for this lovely piece, uh, I believe has stated that this is Eilena. And you remember Eilena from here, right? And I gotta say, I don't know. I don't think so. Like, I mean, they're both stunners. But she's got black hair. They're both clerics, yes. They're both female, yes. They're both wielding the knobby mace, as it were. But beyond that, the outfitting is a bit different in both cases, and honestly, I'd say she's a bit more Slavic than this one. Um, but, your mileage may vary. Let's start with the text. Cleric. A cleric is a human character who is dedicated to serving a great and worthy cause. This cause is usually the cleric's alignment. For example, a cleric may be dedicated to spreading law and order. A cleric has good fighting skills and can also learn to cast spells after gaining a level experience. A first level cleric cannot cast any spells. In D&D games, as in real life, people have ethical and theological beliefs. This game does not deal with those beliefs. All characters are assumed to have them, and they do affect the game. They can be assumed, just as eating, resting, and other activities are assumed and should not become part of the game. So, you know, whatever religion your character fundamentally believes in isn't necessarily a focus of the game, is what they're saying. But, at the same time, we're talking about a cleric here. So, let's see what else it has to say. A cleric's spell powers comes from the strength of the cleric's beliefs. The cleric sits and meditates and mystically learns spells. These spells can then be used during an adventure. Most clerical spells are for curing, protection, and gathering information. Cleric spells are different from magic user spells. Clerics can use only their own type of spells. Your cleric also can fight monsters. A cleric can wear any type of armor, like a fighter, and must be ready for combat at any time. Unlike magic users, whose spells are often used during battles, cleric spells are usually needed after battles, such as cures, or for general exploring, such as detecting things. If your party has enough fighters, your cleric should not need to fight often, but you are equipped for fighting if your combat skills are needed. Watch for ways that your spells can help, whether before, during, or after battles. Here we have the saving throw table, and as you can see, they're pretty good safe against poison and death ray, 11. They're not so good against dragon breath with a 16. Magic wands 12, paralysis or turn to stone 14, and rod staffs and spells 15. Just for to get that out. XP, whenever this number of experience points has been earned, the cleric automatically moves up to the next level of experience. Now, so to get to second level, you only need 1500 XP, which is nice. That's 500 less than the fighter, and 3000 to get to level 3. Now, you get a spell at level 2, which is great, and two first level spells at third level. The titles are for first level Acolyte, second level Adept, and third level Priest or Priestess. Uh, Title. Your character should use this title when talking with other characters. Instead of saying, I'm Clarion, a second level cleric, the character would say, I'm Clarion, the adept. Now, these boxed versions definitely have these level titles for a fair while, but they kind of disappear later in the game with the compendium. We kind of lose the level titles. And certainly, I think like level titles just kind of go out the window after you hit like name level. Name level is what we call like ninth level, right? Although that can also vary a little. Spells. The number of spells a cleric can cast and their level of power are given here. Spells are explained in detail below under special abilities. So, again, no spells at first. Second level gets one first level spell. Third level gets two first level spells. You have to be fourth level to get your first second level spell. And cleric spells go from 1 to 7 in levels, while magic user spells go from 1 to 9 in levels. Some people have said the master set was kind of because like you don't really do anything new at those levels. You're already like either running a your own domain or you're free adventuring on a super high level. Although it does kind of introduce some activities towards immortality as a path, and it certainly adds weapon specialization. But that's something you can implement from the beginning of the game, and certainly some new spells. But again, like you were casting 7th level spells in the companion set. So I guess I can see that point. But that's all by the side. Other details. Prime requisite. Character's prime requisite is wisdom. If a cleric has a wisdom score of 13 or more, the character gains a bonus of experience points earned in every adventure. Similar to all the other characters with the prime requisite. Functionally, if you have a 13 or better and your prime requisite, you're going to get 5%. 16 or better, you're going to get 10. The demi-humans with multiple characteristics can have multiple aspects to that, but that's largely how that goes. So hit dice, 6-sided die, is used to determine a cleric's hit points. Cleric starts with 1 to 6 hit points plus constitution bonus, if any, and gains 1d6 more hit points plus bonus with each level of experience. So you can see, compared to the magic user, yeah, a lot more health, a lot more HP, as much as the elf, right? But you're probably you may end up being more. I don't know. You saw how the dice generation went. Your constitution is going to be whatever it is, really. But you can wear full armor. Cleric may wear any kind of armor and may use a shield. Weapons. A cleric cannot use any weapon with a sharp edge. This is a particular thing about Dungeons and Dragons. And certainly some exceptions to that have been brought about in like the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition and later. But by the basic game and this edition, essentially clerics are going to use blunt weapons, as they call it. It is forbidden by the cleric's beliefs. Clerics may only use a mace, club, warhammer, or sling. And again, you think a staff would qualify, right? It's not a sharp object. Ask your GM. They'll probably let you use a staff if you want to. Special abilities. A cleric has 2 special abilities, turning undead monsters and casting cleric spells. So, turning undead is something you can do right away, and it's partly what makes you different from the fighter at the first level. And makes up for the reduced hit points that you have, right? Or the smaller hit die. Honestly, you could have more hit points than the other fighter in the team if you're rolling for hit points at the first level. A cleric has the power to force away certain monsters called the undead, skeletons, zombies, ghouls, wights, and other more powerful types. No other class has any special effect on the undead. This special ability is called turning the undead monsters. When a cleric encounters an undead monster, the cleric may either attack it normally with a weapon or spell, or try to turn it. The cleric cannot both attack and turn it undead in one round. So 1 round is 1 turn of play. All right. There's rounds and there's turns. There's 10 rounds in a turn. But, when it's your turn to play, that's a round, right? Eh. Sometimes I do wish that those had used different names. Back to it. When you want your cleric to try to turn undead, just tell the dungeon master, I'll turn the undead. The undead monsters are not automatically turned by the cleric. When the encounter occurs, the player must refer to the cleric turning undead table to find the effect the cleric has. And you're going to need your holy symbol for this. So make sure you spend the money on that holy symbol if you think, if you're going to get a cleric. Honestly, why be a cleric if you're not going to want to try to turn undead and cast the healing spells? Just get yourself a holy symbol or unholy symbol, as the case may be. Using the cleric's turning undead table. When the cleric encounters an undead monster, find the cleric's level of experience on the left side of the chart. Then read across to the column under the name of the undead monster and apply the results immediately. If the attempt succeeds, one or more of the undead monsters will retreat but may soon return. So this is the turning undead table over here. Cleric's level 1. You're going to have to roll 2d6 against the number on the chart. So for a skeleton, 7 or better will send the skeletons running away. 9 or better for zombies. Ghouls, 11 or better. And wights, you just are no hope. And no. Cleric level 2, you automatically turn skeletons. There's no roll. You just go away. Zombies a 7. Ghouls a 9. Hey, you got a shot at wights now. 11. Level 3, yeah, still turning skeletons. Now you're turning zombies. 7 for the ghoul, 9 for the wight. And the table does expand with other monsters and etc. As we move into other editions, later sets to the game. So, explanation of results. That's over here. 7, 9, or 11. Whenever a number is given, the cleric has a chance to turn the undead monsters. The player rolls 2d6. If the total is equal to or greater than the number given, the attempted turning undead is successful. A cleric's chances improve as more levels of experience are earned. I did manage to find these. So these are these go with that metal set I was showing a few episodes ago. So, as an example, we're going to try to turn some undead. And, all right, I rolled a 7, right? So my first level cleric would have turned a skeleton, but would not have turned a zombie, right? Just as an example. T, the attempt at turning undead automatically succeeds. N, no effect. Cleric cannot turn that type of undead. Success. If the attempt at turning undead succeeds, the dungeon master, and not you, the dungeon master, will roll 2d6 to determine the number of hit dice of undead monsters that turn away. So again, got the old 2d6 here. So 4 hit dice of monsters I turned when I tried to turn the skeletons, for example. And that would, send away 4 hit dice. So 4 hit dice, if the creature is a single hit die, that you can send away 4 creatures. If they are 2 hit dice each, you send away 2 creatures. If it's a 1 hit die creature, yeah, just the 1. You might not turn all the monsters encountered, but if you succeed in turning, at least 1 will be affected. A turned monster will not touch the cleric and will flee as far from him as possible. So, your DM will adjudicate otherwise, but they're not going to come at you and run past you unless they're blocked off. They're going to go go running away the other way. And they're going to go as far as they can. For a period of time. Then they come back. Well, most likely. Now, clerical spells. When a cleric reaches the second level of experience, having reached 1,500 XP or more, the cleric can use spells. To learn a spell, Cleric meditates. The memory and details of the spells appear in the cleric's mind. The spells may be cast at any time thereafter. The cleric will remember each spell until it is cast, even if it is not used for days or weeks. As a player, all you need to do is choose whatever spells you want your character to have. This can only be done at the start of an adventure. You may choose any of the spells described hereafter. You may not choose any magic user spells, they are a different type. A second level cleric can cast one spell per adventure. A third level cleric can cast 2 spells per adventure. In more advanced games, adventures may last more than a day. In such cases, a cleric can gain spells each morning. If completely rested, any and all spells may be changed at this time if desired. So, unlike the magic user who's limited to whatever spells happen to be in their book, right? The cleric has a full gamut of spells available unless the DM has specified otherwise, honestly. The DM may specify certain spells are unavailable or other spells are available. It's their world and you're just playing in it, as it were. Casting spells. In the game, when you want your character to cast a spell, just tell the Dungeon Master. The DM may ask for some details. For example, some spells are cast at a target and you must tell the DM what the target is. The player does not have to learn any special words. For example, I'm casting a Cure Light Wounds on Ruggin the Dwarf. When the cleric casts a spell, the memory of that spell is forgotten. Imagine that your cleric's memory is like a blackboard. The knowledge of spells appear on it, but each spell is erased as it is cast. If your character knows 2 of the same spells and casts one, the other still remains to be used. The character must be able to gesture and speak normally to cast a spell. While casting a spell, the cleric must stand and concentrate. Spells cannot be cast while the character is walking or running. If the cleric is disturbed while casting a spell, the spell will be ruined and will still be erased, just as if it had been cast. Spells must be cast one at a time. If the character wants to cast more than one, for example, 2 Cure Light Wound spells just after a battle, the fastest they can cast is 1 each round. This is much like with the magic user in the sense of like use it or lose it. And if you're in the course of casting, if you're interrupted, you lose it. Types of spells. Some spells have an instant effect. For example, a Cure Light Wounds spell instantly cures damage. Other spells may be different. The cleric may cast a spell to gain special abilities for a short time, or give those abilities to a friend. For example, a Remove Fear spell helps the recipient, the creature upon whom the spell is cast, to resist fear caused by magical effects or spells. Saving throws versus spells. Some spells only have the full effect if the victim fails the saving throw versus spells. If a saving throw is allowed, it is mentioned in the spell description. Continuing with the explanations here, of course, range. Each spell has listed range, duration, and effect. Range. The character should be sure that the target is within range before casting the spell. If the description says range 0, the spell may only be used by the cleric and cannot be cast on others. If the range equals touch is given, the spell can be placed on any creature the cleric touches, including the cleric himself or herself, as the case may be. Duration is given either in rounds of 10 seconds each or turns of 10 minutes each. So yeah, it's not like it's literally 60 rounds in a turn. If the description says duration permanent, then the spell has an instant and permanent effect that does not go away after a given duration. Effect of the spell gives either the number of creatures or objects affected, or an area of volume of space. If the area is given, it is measured in square feet, a flat area. If a 3-dimensional volume is affected, it is either a round ball with a given diameter or a square or rectangular box of a given size. Both are measured in feet. Spell power. When a cleric reaches 4th level, more powerful spells can be cast. These are given in the D&D Expert set. The power of a spell is described in a way similar to the power of a character. Spells at the lowest level of power are called first level spells. The D&D Expert set describes spells of the second, third, and fourth and fifth level. Sixth and seventh level spells are described in the D&D Companion set. Now, our first level spells for clerics are Cure Light Wounds, and you can see there's an asterisk here. Things with an asterisk can be reversed, that is learned and cast with the effect exactly opposite from the original in the D&D Expert set. A cleric must reach the fourth level of experience before learning how to reverse spell effects. So, not for right now, but theoretically, you could reverse a Cure Light Wounds spell to be a Cause Light Wounds spell. Detect Evil could be reversed to be a Detect Good. There's a Detect Magic spell, Light spell, which could be Darkness if it's reversed, Protection from Evil, Purify Food and Water, Remove Fear, which reversed is Cause Fear, and Resist Cold. So, Cure Light Wounds. You range is touch, permanent, one living creature. The spell will either heal damage or remove paralysis. If used to heal, it will cure 2 to 7 1d6 plus 1 points of damage. It will not heal any damage if it is used to cure paralysis. The cleric may cast it on himself or herself if desired. The spell will never increase a creature's total hit points above the original amount. So, for example, your first fighter started with 8 hit points. You were damaged in the battle with the snake down to 4 hit points. Alina cast a Cure Light Wounds spell and touched you. She rolled a 6, curing a total of 7 points of damage, but your hit points returned to 8, the amount that you started with. The extra 3 points were not counted. There's no temporary hit points, really, in this version of the game. So, cast Cure Light Wounds, bam, 3 points. Bam, 6 points, right? Detect Evil, range 120 feet. Lasts for 6 turns. That's basically an hour. Everything within 120 feet is affected. So, when this spell is cast, the cleric will see evilly enchanted objects within 120 feet glow. Also cause creatures that want to harm the cleric to glow when they are within range. The actual thoughts of the creatures cannot be heard. Remember that chaotic does not automatically mean evil, although many chaotic creatures have evil intentions. Traps and poisons are neither good nor evil, merely dangerous. So, if it's an evil artifact, yeah, that glows evil. If it is a goblin that's going to hurt you, yeah, that glows as evil. Is it a spike trap built into the floor over there? No, just dangerous, doesn't glow. Got it? Detect Magic. Range is basically 0. So it affects you. But the duration is 2 turns, so that's 20 minutes. And affects everything within 60 feet. When this spell is cast, the cleric will see magical objects, creatures, and places within range glow. It will not last very long and should be saved until the cleric wants to see if something found during an adventure is in fact magical. For example, a door may be held shut magically, or a treasure found might be enchanted. In either case, the magic item, creature, or effect will glow when it is within the effect. And that's all it does. It doesn't tell you what the enchantment is. Doesn't tell you who enchanted it. Just that it's magical. That's it. So if the door is being held by, the opposite of a knock spell, escapes me at the moment, but basically like lock, we'll call it, it's being held, or like a person is being held by a hold spell, or let's say a person is charmed by a charm spell. Those are magic effects that would be detected by the cleric, and it would be for the cleric. Light. Range 120 feet. Duration 12 turns. So, 2 hours. Volume of 30-foot diameter. So you can send it over there if you want to. This spell creates a large ball of light as bright as if a torch were lit. If the spell is cast on an object, such as a cleric's weapon, the light will move with the object. If cast at a character's eyes, the creature must make a saving throw. If the saving throw has failed, the victim will be blinded by the light until the duration ends. A blinded creature may not attack. So it's not an attack penalty. It is they may not attack. Protection from evil. Range 0. 12 turns. So again, nice long duration of 2 hours there. Affects the cleric only because it gets a range 0. This spell creates an invisible magical barrier around the cleric's body, less than an inch away. All attacks against the cleric are penalized by -1 to their hit rolls, and the cleric gains a +1 bonus to all saving throws while the spell lasts. In addition, enchanted creatures cannot even touch the cleric. If a magic weapon is needed to hit the creature, that creature is called enchanted. However, a creature that can be hit by a silver weapon, such as a lycanthrope, were creature, for example, is not an enchanted creature. Any creature which is magically summoned or controlled, such as a charm character, is also considered to be an enchanted creature. The barrier thus completely prevents all attacks from those creatures unless they use magic missile weapons. The spell will not affect a magic user spell. If the cleric attacks anything during the spell's duration, the effect changes slightly. Enchanted creatures are then able to touch the magic user, but the hit roll and saving throw adjustments will apply until the spell duration ends. This is surprisingly powerful in a way of protecting the cleric. Elemental creatures can't touch you unless you attack them. And that's some powerful beasties. Astral creatures, I think this protects you against the black ball, which is one of the worst things that you get in monsters to run into. But like I said, surprisingly powerful. I wouldn't want to try to risk it against the black ball. Purify food and water. This is strategically quite useful. Doesn't show up in play all that much. Range 10 feet. Duration permanent. Effect see below. So this spell will make spoiled or poisoned food and water safe and usable. It will purify 1 ration of food, either iron or standard rations, or 6 water skins of water, or enough normal food to feed a dozen people. If cast at mud, the spell will cause the dirt to settle, causing a pool of clear water to appear. The spell will not affect any living creature. So you can't just go and use it to purify like a person, right? But this makes your logistics so much easier. It's not a good berry spell like some of you may have heard, but it is quite useful for keeping your stuff spoiled and your food water clean and you not having Montezuma's revenge. Remove fear. Range touch. Duration 2 turns. Affects any one living creature. So you have to touch them. When the cleric casts this spell and then touches any living creature, the spell will calm the creature and remove any fear. If the creature is running away due to magically created fear, the creature may make another saving throw versus spells, adding a bonus to the roll equal to the cleric's level of experience, up to a maximum bonus of +6. If the saving throw is successful, the creature may stop running. A roll of 1 will always fail. This saving throw with bonus may be made even if the fear was so powerful as to allow no saving throw at first. So, for an example, a 3rd level cleric casting the spell gets a bonus of +3 to the saving throw of the creature touched. And finally, we have Resist Cold. Range 0, duration 6 turns. Effect all creatures within 30 feet. When this spell is cast, all creatures within 30 feet of the cleric can withstand freezing temperatures without harm. In addition to those affected gain a bonus of +2 to all saving throws against cold attacks. Furthermore, any damage from cold is reduced by -1 per die of damage, but with a minimum of 1 point of damage per die. The effect will move with the cleric. So, it's not terrible. So for an hour, basically, if you're in an extremely cold environment or you're up against an ice dragon or something, you got a fair bit of protection for the entire party. Example, the party sees a white dragon approaching whose breath is a blast ray of cold, as illustrated here by Mr. Easley. So the cleric warns the others to stay near and cast this spell. All characters who remain within 30 feet of Cleric gain a +2 bonus to their saving throw versus Dragon Breath, and it reduces the damage of the Dragon Breath as well. Pretty handy. Kind of situational, but pretty handy. That completes the Cleric and all the Cleric spells. Next time, I think we'll do the Fighter and the Thief. Let's say we did the Magic User. I didn't read all the Magic User spells. We could, but there's the Thief. And then we have the remaining demi-human classes. But we'll save that for next time. So, you all have a great night, or a great morning, or a great day, whatever. Thank you for joining me for this. I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.